A very good afternoon to Bhante Gavesi, Bhante Sukha, Bhante Mahananda, Sale, yogis, brothers and sisters in the Dharma. After 2 weeks of intensive practice of Vipassana meditation at MBMC, with a happy and heavy heart, I have to inform our fellow yogis that the retreat has now come to an end. As the retreat organizer, I'm very happy that the retreat is a great success because it is a full retreat attended by 34 yogis. This time, we have 28 female yogis, which actually outnumber our kutis. Out of compassion, Bhante Gavesi has to put some of these yogis to stay in the mudita room to accommodate all of them. For male yogis, we have 4 this time. Out of the 4, 2 are foreign yogis. And most important of all, we have 2 bhikkhus, 2 monks, attend in this highly intensive and disciplined Vipassana retreat throughout. In fact, 2/3 of the yogis here attended the full retreat, and the rest attended at least a minimum of 10 days retreat, except me, due to family obligation committed earlier. As mentioned in the opening ceremony, MBMC is a meditation center set up for the teaching and practice of Vipassana meditation. Therefore, the committee and board of management of the center is very prudent, careful when it comes to engage the right and suitable teacher to teach and spread the correct practice of Vipassana Bhavana, mental development, in order to spread, strengthen, and prolong the Buddha Sasana. Our center's founder, Longpo, Prakru Abhidhamma Palanyana Dhamma Banjavut, a Thai monk, a very wise Abhidhamma and meditation teacher, in the early years of 1980, led a group of devotees and yogis to learn the correct method of Vipassana meditation based on the 4 foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana, from the late and most venerable Mahasi Sayadaw at Mahasi Center in Yangon, Burma. Being satisfied that the Mahasi method and practice is correct and in accordance with the Buddha's teaching, he recommended the method to be taught and practiced in MBMC. Later, with his foresight and courage, Longpo advised MBMC committee and board of management to engage teachers, experienced teachers from Mahasi Center to teach and spread Satipatthana Vipassana meditation at MBMC. As a result of the wise decision and action taken by our center's founder, Longpo Prakru Abhidhamma Palanyana Dhamma Banjavut, I'm pleased to say that MBMC until today is still teaching and practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation following the Mahasi tradition, which aims to purify our mind from greed, hatred, and delusion that leads to liberation from the rounds of samsara, the round of birth and rebirth, until the final attainment of nibbana in this very life. There are so many things that make me happy and inspire in organizing this retreat. Apart from what had been mentioned earlier, Bhante Gavesi, the meditation teacher for this intensive retreat, formerly was a devotee, yogi of MBMC. His upachaya, preceptor, who ordained him as a bhikkhu, is none other than the late and most venerable Sayadaw U Pandita Vivangsa, our respectable meditation master. After years of intensive training and practice under several experienced and virtuous meditation teachers at Panditarama, Bhante is now serving the Buddha Sasana by teaching and spreading the practice of Satipatthana Vipassana meditation in Malaysia and abroad. MBMC is indeed pleased that Bhante has accepted our invitation to come back and conduct his first Vipassana intensive retreat this time. We look forward to have Bhante conducting his second, third intensive retreat at MBMC soon. My heart is heavy now, as it is time for some of you to part our ways since the retreat has come to an end. But for those of you who are staying on to continue your retreat at MBMC until January 2019, the good news is Sayadaw U Panyatami Vivangsa will be your meditation teacher. For your information, Sayadaw U Panyatami Vivangsa is one of Bhante's meditation teachers. MBMC is very grateful to Sayadaw U Panyatami Vivangsa because it is Sayadaw who recommended MBMC to invite Bhante Gavesi to teach Vipassana meditation here. As a result of Sayadaw's wise advice, so many of our yogis here have benefited from his clear teaching, strict discipline, and compassionate guidance. So Bhante, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu to your great and wholesome effort. Of course, for this retreat to be successful, I would like to thank MBMC Committee and Board of Management for their strong support in helping to organize this retreat. I would like to represent the Board of Management to thank our committee member, Sister Ayung, who is the kitchen head, who not only helped to coordinate the food for our yogis, she also is one of the main sponsors for the fish during the lunch for our yogis. So, Sister, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu for your effort and generosity and your kindness to the yogis. Also, I would like to thank Sister Ainley for helping up to set up the hall for Dharma talk, and also our office staff who helped to coordinate and register and troubleshoot, during the retreat and help out all the yogis. We also have a lot of volunteers to make our retreat smooth. We have Brother David Tan, who helped to set up our PA system and to ensure that Bhante can have a good recording for his Dhamma talk, so that later on each and every one of us will have a copy of it to listen again and again at home, so that we can improve in our practice. Also, there are so many volunteers like Sister May, Brother Saul, who have helped to clean up, the room, toilets, the hall, and we also have Bhante Parama, who have helped out to get the PA system ready for the daily Dhamma talk, and many others, Brother Kang Ing Lee. For those I couldn't mention here, you are the unsung hero, and you have been supporting the Buddha Sasana, and the merits will be the provision in the round of samsara. So these merits will support you all the way until finally the attainment of Nibbana. So yogis, let us all say sadhu 3 times to all these generous and compassionate helpers and volunteers. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With that, I would like to end my speech by saying, see you soon again in the next retreat at MBMC. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So now we come to the end of this retreat and end of a beginning. For some of you, physically beginning means the next retreat. For some of you, although this is the end of a retreat, but the confidence that you're going to take back, the skills that you are taking back, that is going to be valuable. These skills, how to do, how to walk, how to sit, and how we change our ways of paying attention, noting, those things you cultivate it again and again. And later on, it'll serve you while you're in the retreat for a long, long period of time. A lot of your problems, you can able to overcome them by yourself. Usually, this is how a yogi improves. In the beginning of a retreat, or in the beginning part, when a yogi starts to meditate, this time the yogi needs a lot of guidance and understanding. And a lot of times it's changing the way how the noting, the attitude, the defilements, the hindrances, and so on. So in the beginning part, there's a lot of mental laundry to change your attitude, to change a lot of things inside there. Now as you're able to become more clearer, paying attention as your development comes in much better, then the guidance, not as much as before, but once in a while you still need that particular guidance. You know how to meditate, you know how to pay attention, you know how to walk, you know how to sit, you know how to be disciplined. You don't have to keep on looking at you. You know how to discipline, you know when to do this, when not to do that. Then you carry on as you practice. It's wonderful. My job is just to make sure that you keep going, keep meditating, and keep on the right path. So usually a yogi will be something like that. So for those who just came, for this is if this is the first retreat that they are going through, then don't expect that your concentration, your mindfulness, your clarity of your mind will able to sustain. Give you 1 or 2 days, habis, all gone, down the drain. Not to say down the drain. Put it in this way, when there's no condition for the mindfulness to arise, when there's no condition, meaning that when you don't exercise that mindfulness, when you don't exercise the concentration, they will not able to sustain what you have right now. So don't expect that the clarity of the meditation that you have right now, you thought that you're going to see that at home when you meditate. It's not going to be like that. Your mind was, after a few days, it's kind of like all the concentration, mindfulness, and start tapering off. And slowly fades off. And then you just go on with the everyday life. But we don't realize that there's a lot of change inside you. The change may not be so significant yet for most people after 1 or 2 retreats. But after a number of retreats, as the mindfulness goes deeper into the development, you actually see the change in your mind. Not that you become more peaceful, not just that you become more peaceful, but the peace is not calm as just like you're getting suspended and you don't care, don't bother, that type of peace, The tidak apa type of peace, Not that type of thing that you're going to have, This is not the way of Dhamma. The peace that comes in is more like you are able to accept a lot of things in life. The suffering, the difficulties, the pressure, that you can able to accept them in a more broader manner. And this is something that Vipassana can give you. Because here, for example, one of the things that you are doing here is dealing with the pain. The pain will always be there. The unpleasant feelings will always be there. Whenever you do the sitting, especially the sitting. Then when you learn how to pay attention to the pain, instead of getting angry about it, getting tension over it, getting fearful about it, but this time the mind becomes more acceptance, more seeing things as it is, more seeing the change, and so on. Now with this way of the state of mind, the mind, when you go out, whenever you face with some kind of unpleasant feelings, unpleasant difficult situation, then that time the mind is more stable, less anger, more able to deal with the situation much more better, without falling into anger or jealousy and so on, or less. Perhaps totally zero, I wouldn't say so, but less. So if you have less of those things, means you have less suffering in life. You less suffering in life. So that will be very good. It gives you a bit more happiness in life. And these are the small things that you begin to change. But here, although the mindfulness drops, as the mindfulness fades away, concentration fades away, you go back to your daily life, you do a lot of good things, and go on with your life. But the next retreat that you come in, and this is where all your skills will able to help you to arouse that mindfulness, clarity of mind all over again, more effectively than before. You know how to do it. You know when to do it. You know when to walk, when to sit, when to do this and that. So with that skills that you have, then it'll be very helpful to you as the coming retreats. You know your tension is coming. You know your restlessness is coming. You know how to change it. Change the way you meditate. You know that your mind becomes too calm. This is something not right. You got to get out from it. Or something that walking is not clear. Now you know how to do a better walking. Now this, when you remember it in the next retreat, is going to be very helpful for you, because very quickly your mindfulness, your clarity of mind comes back within 2 or 3 days. Once the body gets relaxed and adjusted, the mindfulness comes in very quickly. So those skills that you learn here are very important. Now, when we go back, of course, there are some yogis are still carry on, Maybe you got 1 more month to go. I don't want to tempt you too much, So, some of us are going back, some of us carry on, which is good. You keep going, keep the fire burning, keep it practicing. But those who are going back, perhaps there are a number of things that perhaps you should take care and should do also actually. Or some of the things that you should avoid. Now, one of the things that if you want to continue the next retreat, you want to do the next retreat, one of the things that you must need is your health. Your health. If you're sick, how are you going to meditate? So you must keep up your health. A yogi must keep up his health in order to go through with this walking and sitting. It is demanding, isn't it? It is demanding. You need the help. That means somewhat you don't have to be like perfectly clean in your, in your report card nowadays. In your blood test result, let's say, you don't have to be totally good. All you need to do is that somewhat okay that you can still walk and eat and sleep. Then, if you're still able to, that means your body has that condition. So make sure that you have a good health. And we use this good health for the purpose of, as a condition for enlightenment in the future. Not just for a worldly purpose. I mentioned these things last week when we talk about intentions. That we begin to understand that the purpose, our intention, our wish, that all these things has more noble goal rather than just for a worldly purpose. More just for happiness here and now. A lot of times when we are out there, people talk about health. Here, health this and health is the most important thing, and so on and so forth. But their health their health is just for the sake of happiness, so that they can go to where? Go to a tour, go and meet with relatives, and more they can eat more. They can travel and so on. So all these things is just worldly purpose. I mean, this is not to say that you cannot enjoy it. You still have it. You are still a lay people. Not to say you cannot have those. Those things are still part of the whole process of your everyday life. But you cannot just stay all those things. It's just that only. You must have a more noble goal. More noble goal that you can able to use this health for the sake of enlightenment, for the future. So when you are able to understand this, you turn that health, your physical strength into something much more noble than right now. So when you go back also, learn about some of the Abhidhamma. Sometimes it's going to be helpful, but you don't have to be like so deep. I'm not an Abhidhamma scholar. You ask me some of the things, yes, I can understand. But if you ask me exactly right to the dot, very deep inside, I cannot. Because I'm not really a scholar, I'm a practitioner. But I know some of the things of the Abhidhamma can be very helpful for the practice, especially understanding the different concept of mindfulness or concentration or effort and how they related, and what are magga, what are pala type of consciousness, what are greed consciousness, what is anger consciousness. Some of the things can be very helpful for the understanding of this vipassana meditation. But a lot of things in the Abhidhamma, although it's separated out for you, but when it comes into the meditation part, you put it all aside. You put it all aside. Just learn to pay attention. You learn to pay attention to exactly what happened, to the whole nature of it. Later on, in the later part of your practice, then you begin to see how the Abhidhamma and the Satipatthana all goes parallel. They all go together. But in the beginning part, it's not so easy because your mind is still muddled here and there, and then you try to fit in all your theoretical information into your meditation experiences. The meditation experiences is not enough yet. So when you go into much more deeper level of meditation, then yes, the aspect of Abhidhamma becomes very clear to the yogis. So learn to the Abhidhamma a little bit if you can, and also learn about the suttas. Learn about the sutta, what the Buddha talked about. What is the Satipatthana Sutta? What is the sutta on there's so many suttas. What are the there's quite a number of talks. I talk on the Noble Eightfold Path, and talk about the 62 kinds of wrong view in other retreats. In other retreats, not to say talk about all the wrong views, but how this wrong view can be related to our practice, and how this wrong view is related to our daily life. How we do not know what is happening. Learn about what is the Four Noble Truth, for example. You learn about, say, for example, the Second Noble Truth. What is the Second Noble Truth? Samudaya, the origin of what? Happiness. Origin of your dukkha. Origin of the dukkha. And then within this origin of dukkha, then the Buddha says there's three types of craving. Vibhava dukkha, three types of tanha. Three types of craving. Vibhava tanha, bhava tanha, and kama tanha. Three types. Now these three types of craving is exactly some of the things that I've mentioned it. Although I didn't mention it in using this and that. Take for example, if you learn this, at least you know there's a craving there. Take for example your pain. You know the pain. I talk about the whole talk on the pain, on the unpleasant feeling. Now, where does this type of tanha comes in, for example? If you wish the pain to go away, if you wish the pain to stop, that wishing alone is called vibhava tanha. Craving for non-becoming, because you don't want the pain to become more. You don't want the pain to become more. This type of craving does not connect it to your everyday outside sensual type of desire. It's just inside there. You do not wish it to become more. Just for example. Or you wish the pain to stay a bit more longer, say that you want to see it more. What do you think it is? Then it's another kind of craving that you want something to happen. You expect your rising and falling to go this way and that way. You watch your rising and falling and something special of the rising and falling happen, maybe in the earlier sitting. Then you sit here, you want that rising and falling to happen again. That is also another form of craving. Therefore, falls into what? Craving. It falls into bhava tanha. You want it to come. So, all the teachings of the Buddha is all inside here. That is really what you can able to notice that. But to fit in the words and all the things, sometimes you need a lot of explanation. But once you understand it, it gives you much more satisfaction when what the Buddha mentioned and what actually you experience those things. Then you begin to see that all the Noble Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths, they're going parallel with your just sitting and walking. Just that sitting and walking, all is already inside there. If you know how to know what is going on. So first of all, it is good that we learn some of this knowledge, theoretical knowledge. Then you got to take up, learn some of them. It is good that you take up the suttas, the original sutta. Just be careful of your own interpretation. Your own interpretation can be sometimes get distorted. Just be careful. But anyway, as we meditate. Now as we meditate, as we all know that sometimes when we go back to the suttas again, we see it a little bit more deeper. You meditate some more, you read the sutta, the same lines, it goes a little bit more deeper than before. You read again, later in the future, they look different. So it will be very helpful now that when we go back, we learn about all these things. Learn about what are the practice. Learn about abhidhamma. Learn about what are the silas, the morality, and so on. So too, here, for most of us here are, you have been in the Buddhist scene for a long period of time. Perhaps the 5 precepts for you all can be very, you kind of hold on to it very as best as you can. But sometimes when we go into overseas, these 5 precepts is not part of their life. It's not part of their life. So once they finish a retreat, they do all kinds of crazy things, all kinds of nonsense and so on, drink and so on. They thought it's not going to affect them. But the next retreat that comes in, then all their mind becomes a lot of tension, a lot of problem, a lot of psychological problem, and it makes their meditation very difficult. They thought that with all their intelligence that they have, they thought that they can able to sit down and meditate and be able to achieve enlightenment in a fortnight, in 2 weeks, But no, they can't even able to sit down. They can't even able to calm the mind down. Because a lot of those effects of their mind is due to the sila. It's due to the sila. We don't see this effect yet because we have been keeping this sila for a long period of time. And when you come into a meditation, this type of thoughts is not too strong. But once they say strong, those type of yogis, they really cannot sleep, cannot meditate, cannot do anything else. Very, very difficult. Until some years later, they begin to take up their sila, they take care of their this one, then only the mind begins to calm down a little bit. Once it's able to calm down together with the sila, then they can able to do some kind of meditation, some kind of vipassana meditation. So without that sila, it's impossible. But when you come into a meditation, the sila is not just on the 5 precepts. The sila is on all those small things, like whether you come in for your sitting and walking or not. Those small things. Whether you are mindful or not, whether you walk slowly or not, whether you in the middle of the afternoon you go back to your room and sleep or not. you know this type of small things. These small things really makes a difference in the meditation. So we don't underestimate these things, So when we understand the sila in more deeper context, it will be very helpful for all of you. For all of you. What else do you need? Now, of course, when you say you go back, you try to keep up the meditation as much as you can, or as best as you can. Your best may be 15 minutes. Put best lah, If you half an hour, also can. Even you got 5 minutes, sit there, also can. But do it every day. Do it every day. Do it every day. That whenever you are able, you are free, you don't have so much thoughts for the day, Then you find that time you can able to sit or walk. Then do a little bit of it. As I mentioned, you can able to do some metta, or you want to do some vipassana, or you want to do some mindfulness of death. You can always change. You don't have to stick one all the time. Oh, I'm just a vipassana meditator only. Oh, metta, I don't play with all those things, I don't do all kinds of other things. Just strictly like that only. Sometimes, not to say that we admire your determination, but in life, sometimes things doesn't work all the time the same. Sometimes we need other forms of meditation in order to help to make the other meditation a bit more smoother. It's kind of like you're putting some oil into your vipassana. Sometimes the vipassana get, as you meditate, sometimes you get, I want to explode like that. Every day walk, sit, nothing much. Morning, you do your walk, you do your sitting, also very sleepy. At home, also not so clear. And then after that, today clear, today not so clear, tomorrow not so clear, another day clear, then not so clear again, not so clear again, not so clear again. What do you think you will do? You just give up. Same like yesterday, not so clear again. So when you give up, then if you have other forms of meditation, develop it for a while. Develop it for like 1 week, 2 weeks. Do some metta a little bit. Do for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then go to work. Or before you go to sleep. So you can always change. And it's going to be very helpful for you. With different types of meditation coming in, it also affects your character differently. Affects your character differently. Sometimes if you do a vipassana, a lot of vipassana, sometimes the mind becomes aloof, It doesn't have that connection with the world, as if like everything is inside only. Outside is not so very careful, all these things happen sometimes. Once in a while, not to say all the time. There's one time in Balik Pulau, there's one monk, because he keep on doing meditation, everything look inside. When he go out pindah bat, he also walk lifting, pushing, dropping, I'll go slow. He want to cross the road, right step, lifting, pushing, dropping. The bus also got to stop for him. People come down and say, they're gonna, because he's a monk, nobody want to hit, but they scolded the monk, If you are not a monk, we're gonna, because he stopped the traffic and the traffic go on stand still. You go on lifting, pushing, dropping. That's not right. That's not right. You cannot do those things anymore. You become too. You do not know when to just to change things, because sometimes it becomes too connected to the inside. You can't live all the time inside. So sometimes you must learn how to have metta. Sometimes you learn how to have compassion, to learn to exercise your wisdom, exercise your mudita, exercise a lot of things. Sometimes, for example, even mudita. Every time we do it, but we don't feel it. A lot of times we do it, and one of the things that we do it is the word sadhu. We say sadhu to a lot. But now when we say sadhu, it becomes so sadhu. No feeling. Because it becomes so plain already, because every day we keep on doing it. The sadhu here is to appreciate that somebody is doing good and you appreciate that person. That is mudita. And mudita in expression. Okay? The mudita in expression. And sometimes you sit there, in the katina time especially. So many sadhu you have to do. Then you do until ayo. And then you will see how much of your mudita is being exercised over here. So whenever we say sadhu, we appreciate somebody else. And then when we appreciate all these type of things, then we acknowledge this person is doing good. This person is doing a dana. This person is doing meditation. This person is giving a talk and so on. We say sadhu. And that, when you pay attention to it, you're aware of it, you acknowledge it, you're happy for that person. That will be very helpful, and it helps you to bring about that mudita in you. Because you begin to see the wholesomeness of others. The noble thing, the noble acts of others. If not, now it becomes so plain. It becomes so, just because everybody says so, just because it's a Buddhist tradition to say so. Yeah? So we lose its meaning. Yeah? So some of these small things, if you begin to look into your life, it actually helps you. It actually helps you to make you more open, clearer, more compassionate, more metta, more at ease, and yet more wise. And when you come back to practice again, all the clarity of the mind becomes much more supportive. You're not supported by all kinds of nonsense or all kinds of anger and all kinds of other unwholesome mental states, but you have more wholesome mental states in your everyday life. So if you can able to exercise those things, it'll be very helpful in the future for your development of the mind. So you got to mix with the right people. You got to have right people to mix with the right people, as I mentioned yesterday. If you mix with the people who have those metta, to have those compassion, to have those wisdom and so on, then it will be very beneficial to you. If you mix with the wrong people who have a lot of anger, a lot of desire, unwholesome desire and so on, then you will just follow like them. So here are some of the things that it can be helpful to you. Yeah? Now before we go on and on. Then you have any questions or not? On the practice, on Dhamma, on anything? If I can answer, well and good. Huh? Anything? In overseas, I dare not to ask anything or not. Then there will be many hands to go up. Here in Asia, you ask them, it's okay. But it's okay if you don't have any question. It doesn't matter, It's not that I'm going to force you to do it. If both sides also, I mean, yogis and non-yogis also. Yeah? Okay, nothing? Yes, David. What a person do at that juncture. Now the question here is, when a person faced with fear, mentally and physically, when it affects a person's mind, what can a person do? How does a person able to handle all these type of things? Now, it so happened that this question came up, and also somehow or another today I still receive a Q&A, which was supposed to be yesterday, but this morning I walked past through, still another paper inside the box, which last night I forgot to bring up the box. Then it came, but never mind. But it also related to the question just now also is related to this also. Let me read for you. Should we apply different techniques to handle pain in life versus during meditation? Should we apply different techniques to face pain in life versus during meditation? During Vipassana meditation, one notes pain continuously and enduringly as is intensifying the pain. However, in life, if we do the same, for example, pain of losing loved ones, we may fall into depression or long mourning. Should we then note it as dukkha and anatta to minimize and cut off the pain and to detach oneself from the pain? So here, the question again here, you want to know whether should we apply a different technique when we face a certain problems in life. During in the meditation, we are taught to note. You got pain, you got fear, you got this and that, you are taught to note those things. But when we outside there, are we going to apply the same thing just to note? So the question also, this one also is also mentioned that if we keep on noting when we are out there, we're going to end up with even more problems. Even more problem or even more depression or prolonged form of mourning or something else. So this is also related to the fear also. How do we deal with this type of things in life? Especially the objects that you are facing is very unpleasant to you. Alright? They're unpleasant to you. Now, for this time, sometimes the unpleasant part is that somebody died. From the question, let's say somebody died, you lost somebody, and then that pain in the mind, that sadness in the mind that you may have. Alright? So another here part is that also the fear that arises. The fear that arises when you face with something which is unpleasant to you. So how are we going to handle these things in life? Are we just going to note there, you see the ghost there, fear. For example, I know, I'm not there are many types of fear that we go through. But how are we going to handle in everyday life? Now, in the retreat life, while we are in the retreat, the fear here, we should learn to pay attention to the fear, to really feel the fear as if like it's just another pain in the leg. But dealing with the mental type of unpleasant feelings, you need a lot of skills and you need a lot of bravery. You need a lot of courage to note them. During in that retreat, let's say at night, somehow you meditate and you forgot the time. You meditate until 10:30, 11 o'clock. Nobody around you anymore. Nobody. You open up your eyes. Nobody around. Don't know whether who is sitting next to me. Is it real or not real? Then pee pop up already lah, Then the fear may comes in. So the fear that comes in, what are you going to do? Because sometimes in this retreat, for example, you have a lot of yogis. You may not feel it. But in other retreats, sometimes there's no retreat and then there's one or two yogis. They may sit up there and nobody else, So I don't also stay at the first floor. Nobody stays up there. So maybe so one person in it, dark and so on. So what are you going to do? Let's say the fear arises. Yeah. You sit down and then you thought that you open up the eyes, you thought that something flashed through. Sometimes it's just like a light, but then you just, see lah. The fear arises. So if fear arises, what are you going to do then? Now, in the retreat time, you pay attention to the fear. You got to be brave enough to face it. It's just like facing anger. You're facing anger instead of thinking about the object, thinking about what you think the object is like. So, for example, if there is a ghost or somebody else or whatever it is, if so happened, if you have that, you should pull the mind back to noticing the fear. Let our external thoughts go away. Or you keep it aside. Note the fear. If you don't note the fear, and you keep on thinking about the external things, then the fear will not stop. And then you are dealing with the object wrongly at this time. You are dealing with the concept. You are not dealing with the reality. The reality here is the fear that arises in the mind. So what you should do? Let the ghost sit next to you, or whatever it is. Let them sit. They want to be there, let them be there. You note the fear. You watch your fear. Forget about whatever that's happening. Note the fear. See how is it like. See how it grow, getting more, getting less. It makes your confidence and so on. And you note. See how it shrink, and how it disappear. A lot of times, we have to do that. Because sometimes when you go into other places in meditation, forests and so on, you will encounter this type of things. If you are not strong enough in the heart, then you will be a big problem. Sometimes I go up to the meditation on my own. It is in Penang Island, not too far away. But in that place, you can shout and shout and shout. Nobody will able to hear you. It's in the forest. Nobody around for the next about 500 meters surrounding us. Nobody. Of half a kilometer or 1 kilometer. Nobody. If I were to die there, the next morning only somebody will know. When they bring the food there, I then come down to take the food, then something problem already. So at night, there's nobody. We cannot be like, a little bit of sound, oh, see what is that? Here got a little bit of sound, see what is that? If we live in this way, then we are just making a lot of imagination into our mind. Now, in order for us to be able to overcome fear, we must not put a lot of all these thoughts, imagination and all that into it too much. Because a lot of times we hear something, we begin to connect with our own interpretation, our own judgment, and our own, and then all types of fear arises. Sometimes a lot of things just insect sound here, nothing much, nothing more than that. But the fear arises because your mind interprets the whole thing. So this is where Vipassana will be very helpful. It learns to disconnect that interpretation and that fear. So now, while you are here, let's say, if the fear arises, pay attention to the fear. Next time, when you can able to notice that fear, any sound that arises, anything that arises, the mind doesn't fall into fear. It just falls into awareness, clarity of the mind. So the mind is kind of like free from fear a lot of times in their life. So the vipassana will be very helpful in this thing. Because it learns to disconnect, just taking up the fear, but it don't connect whatever that is your hearing or what you are seeing. And it's very good. Because these things, it makes you very flexible to go into different parts of meditation. A different area of meditation. To face things, in a meditation center or in other places. Now, one of the things that people fear in sometimes in meditation center, they thought that at night people keep knocking their door. Sit down, sleep already, talk. What is that? Then they open up. Nobody. Tomorrow night, same thing again. Knock. They open up. Nobody, nothing. See, then they go and report to the teacher. At night, somebody keep knocking my door. I asked my roommate, I also here, but I didn't tell you because I don't want to disturb you, see. Then once they start, they start fear already. See, what is that? This meditation center got ghosts, got these spirits and so on. No, that. It's all in the mind. But most of the time, what is it? Because they didn't look at the door, they look out, Because sometimes it's just the lizard. Wall lizards stay there and the tail is just talk there. So they keep on looking out, nothing. But they forgot to look at the door. Because they come down to the door, because sometimes they got insects and so on, they take the insect and then they stay there. A lot of times it happens. Nowadays also, even people knock, even a real ghost car or a lizard or whatever, keep them. You want to knock, keep knocking, I want to sleep. Keep knocking, it doesn't matter. As long as you are not disturbed, then all right. So a lot of times, it's all our own imagination, and we do not know how to disconnect our imagination. So all the fear arises. So one thing. So the next thing, if you cannot able to do that, let's say your meditation is just like that only, then you cannot able to do that. We are taught that, somewhere we are taught that, okay, if you fear, what do? Protective chanting, for example, parita chanting. Let's say you use itipiso. But when you use itipiso, there must be also a technique for you to able to do it, not just chant like that, hoping that the ghosts go away, or whatever go away. It's not going to be like that. It's not about just because you chant and then you want things to be your way, It's not like that again. Now, when you have that fear, you don't have that mindfulness, let's say, and you remember about the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and then you start to do the chanting. Now, what you're supposed to do is that you bring your attention away from it, and then you hold on your attention to the Itipiso Bhagawa. And you chant those words, but you must able to understand the words. You understand the words. You understand Itipiso Bhagawa Arahang, what or the meaning, the meanings into it. And you got to do it carefully, and you do have to do it clearly. And you don't worry about whether the spirit or whether unfortunate things stay or not. The reason we use this parita chanting is because to clear the fear, not to ask the person or whatever to go away, Just let it be. So why we do that is because this thing is just about shifting of attention on him. You shift the attention from fear to the itipiso, so that when you concentrate on the itipiso, you concentrate on the chanting, then your mind is not there. When the mind is not there, the fear also slowly disappear. And slowly disappear if you able to do the chanting properly. But also you must able to understand the whole path of the whole meaning of the chanting. It gives you the effect to overcome an external fear. So this is one way. Sometimes again people do like metta. But again, sometimes, a lot of times they do metta with ulterior motive. Not really true. Sometimes, for example, you go into hotel room, After you kai already, you at night you will go to a hotel room. You go inside, you feel so, There's nothing there. Perhaps there's nothing there because somebody, your friends or whatever, has been influenced you. And you go to hotel room, you do metta first. You don't do metta, and then the ghost will come and pull your leg at night. You're really so afraid that all these type of things. So what do? May all beings be here, be well, happy. Be here. You stay at your place, I stay at my place. Be well and happy for you. I do metta for you, okay? I do metta for you. You don't kacau me. Don't disturb me. Stay here there. May you be well, may you be happy. You think it will work? Huh? You think it will work? It will not work. Why it will not work? Because there's ulterior motive behind it. You are not radiating the metta to him or to her or to it, You are radiating the metta because you want to get rid of it. Isn't it? You want to get rid of the whole thing, whatever the thing is that even you cannot see also. It's all in your mind only, right now. So when you do this type of metta, may you be well and happy, but at the back of your mind is the ulterior motive. But you didn't see your ulterior motive. You only thought that just because you read from the book, somebody says that you must do metta. So you also do metta. Just because you learn a bit here and there, so you start doing metta. And you thought that metta is going to work. After you do it, you still cannot work. At night still pull my leg. How? That is not something wrong with the metta. It's something wrong with you. When we talk about intentions. Last week, ulterior motive. It's difficult for us to understand an ulterior motive behind it. The desire that goes together with it, why is it that all this ulterior motive is, connected with our actions, speech, thoughts, and so on. We don't see all this behind it. But as a meditator, you begin to note the intention. You begin to note that whether that intention is appropriate for you to do or not to do. You want to desire to go to a toilet, I said, you got to check your mind. Whether it goes with mindfulness or there's really a need or is just going to the toilet just to relax. You see an ulterior motive here. So with this understanding of your meditation, exercise it in small little ways. You begin to become more sensitive with your clarity of your mind. Then when you are out there, then when this type of ulterior motive arises, then you become more clearer about them. So when you become more clearer about those internal motive, internal intention, which is unwholesome, then you begin to remove those unwholesome ones. Then let's say you come back to that example. When you're able to understand that, you remove this unwholesomeness, then this time you are able to bring about that metta. Then the metta becomes much more genuine. And when the metta becomes genuine, the metta takes over the mind. When it takes over the mind, fear is overcome. You see? And fear can be overcome in many ways. Mudita, compassion, karuna, and so on. Upekha too, So there are many ways we can able to overcome the fear. So too sometimes if we do not have those things, sometimes we use our wisdom a little bit, our Dhamma wisdom. Our Dhamma wisdom, sometimes perhaps you need to Dhamma talk yourself. Dhamma talk yourself means that, this one is not necessary for me to go in. It's just a sound only after all. Don't worry about it. Kind of Dhamma talk yourself. You tell yourself, if I were to keep on looking for all these type of things, then it will be very wearisome for me. So when sometimes you Dhamma talk yourself, you feel good. And you feel good, you can able to overcome it for that period of time. You can do that. Not to say you cannot do that. So too, like this type of question about facing a loved one, losing a loved one. Sometimes we go through all the difficulties, the pain, the hardness, as the time goes by, when a person is already in this state now, already, let's say, a loss, a grief, and then it kind of like goes into the path of depression already. A lot of times when we do not have Dhamma, this may happen. But if you have Dhamma, the Dhamma will begin to protect you. How does it protect then? Now it protects with understanding, Not just that, just because you have Dhamma and then you're not going to get depression. No, it's not going to like that. But if you know how to apply your mind towards this type of things. That's why while you are okay right now, you don't have all this grief and all these problems, you better learn up the Dhamma as much as you can. Because when you're going to face a challenge in your life, let's say a loss of a loved one, somebody you love very much, and then when you love very much, the depression and could come in, the grief can comes in, and it can come in very deeply. For a person who's having some degree of Dhamma, then here they can bring about the Dhamma aspect. Or sometimes the friends can able to talk with him on the Dhamma aspect of it. Because when he hears the Dhamma, when he understands the Dhamma, he kind of like, the mind starts to detach itself on with the pain. It begins to detach itself from the pain, and then therefore, over some time, it can help to recover faster, much faster than a person without the Dhamma. If a person already in a state of depression or the state of grief, it's very difficult. You're going to give them any much of Dhamma right now. If the person does not have any Dhamma background in the first place. In the first place, if they don't have any much Dhamma, you're going to tell them about the Dhamma. Hey, this one is already over, Hey, you cannot, this one, we can do merits for them, we can do dana for them, But they're not going to able to accept all this explanation, because the mind's already shut down at that moment of time. But for a person who has Dhamma, then it's different. When he hears this Dhamma, the mind is able to open up to understand. Okay, then we go for dana. Then we can able to do dana, because in the past that person has done it, the dana offerings before. So it's going to be very helpful. So therefore, as much Dhamma you have before all these things happen, if you have those Dhamma, it's wonderful. If you have more Dhamma, if you have more practice, even more wonderful. Because when it comes to the time of loss, fear, the mind doesn't fall into it too deeply. That means in the past, perhaps you have a loved one pass away, then you cry and cry and cry. You dip down, the graph goes down, and then it goes flat at the bottom for a long period of time before you can able to go up again to be happy, something like that. But when a person have a Dhamma, it doesn't go down fully down, but in a short time it begin to climb up again. It begin to climb up again, and then you can lead a normal life. We still go through the grief. We still go through the sadness, but we don't go through until it becomes too deep, until we cannot get up from it. Because along the way, if you have the Dhamma will say, okay, the person is already dead. We should learn to let go, and we should learn to do merits for him. We should wish the person well and good. Whatever that's needed, whatever merits that can be accrued from here, we share the merits. With this type of thinking about this thing, this way of thinking, it will help yourself, not just the person, but yourself from getting too much into the sadness, into the grief. So you can able to pull yourself out so much more faster than before. So therefore, as I said, this Dhamma will protect you if you use it. If you're able to reflect, you can reflect. So for example, like this is impermanence. What the Buddha says about dukkha, surely there will be death. And then if you're able to practice about mindfulness on death and so on, then you begin to be able to accept death as part of the whole process of life. Now, whoever, whether it's the loved ones, whether it's somebody is neutral to you, or whether somebody you don't like, those type of things, you begin to able to accept it as they are. So because of that acceptance of death, then therefore our mind doesn't fall too much into the grief and depression. And those acceptance again is a kind of a mindfulness. So you are exercising the Dhamma to protect yourself. So when you go back there, you exercise as much Dhamma as you can. So whenever this type of challenges comes to you, it'll be very helpful for your happiness and for your life. Okay?
Bhante? Okay. And, there are two questions here. For a Buddhist, sometimes they may have this thinking, what is the difference of learning samatha meditation and vipassana meditation? What is the benefits of learning and practicing vipassana meditation? This is the one question. The second question is to really see improvement in the practice. How long should a yogi practice in a retreat to really see the progress in their practice?
The first question is about samatha vipassana. If you're going to talk about that, you need another 2 weeks of explaining, which is true because I've talked about it in the last KKB retreat. There got 3 months there. I could stretch my talk in the many different ways. So I know this is a big topic. I know a lot of times you want to understand this, what is samatha and what is vipassana, and what are the differences and what are the benefits in each and every one of them. It's going to take you a long period of time. Both of them got its own benefit. But we must, first of all, before we understand its benefit, we understand the difference of its objective, its purpose, the intention, the purpose here. The whole intention of vipassana is to get you out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. The whole purpose of this samatha is to bring about that jhana. And with that jhana, it gives rise to rebirth in the higher planes of existence, in the Brahma planes of existence. And with that jhana, it can able to divert you into a genuine type of a supernatural power. But you're still in samsara. Okay? But it's a happy samsara. Here you think that your human life is happy. You are just, like the deva look at us, He look at them like a pig still rolling in the mud there, rolling in the mud. Then you may happy, the pig say happy, happy. Just like all of us are happy, happy. Then you look at, so it's just like this, The deva is so much more happiness than that. So it's happy samsara, still in samsara. So the first thing is to make sure that you understand their purpose. But a lot of times, yogis, they hear only, but they manipulate the whole thing around. Because nowadays, people meditate, they don't want to get out of samsara. They meditate so that they go back to have a better life. Not to say that you are wrong. Not to say that you are totally wrong, but they're still craving there. The craving about just for the happiness, get out of happiness, don't want. Next time, Friday class, you're going to put a survey. Why do you want to practice this meditation for? See, how many people want to get out of samsara? Or how many people just want to have a better life? So that less anger in life, less greed in life, happiness in life. Most people want that. Getting out of samsara is too vague, too far away. But they want vipassana. You're going to survey, You're going to survey. You see what the answer people will give you. It'll be interesting, isn't it? Of course, you all know the answer here. You don't go and put this. No. Here you make it very clear to you, the first thing. But the benefits comes in is tremendously different. You see, if you develop metta, you give rise to a certain aspect of your mind that you have not developed much before. For example, you can have a lot of anger, bosong and everything, this type of life mentality. But if you're able to develop metta, it will change your psyche, it will change your attitude, it will change your perspective of life. You become more happy, more genuinely looking at yourself and others, to be happy, to be free from all the suffering and so on. So it can change one aspect of your life. So different part of samatha, different areas of the samatha, it gives rise to a different aspect of your mentality, which is good, which is wonderful. But it cannot give you enlightenment. So you come into vipassana practice. When you come into this vipassana practice, it gives you all the insight. It gives you all the insight that samatha cannot give you. All the arising, passing away, it gives you anicca, dukkha, anatta, and so on. Samatha could not able to give you. So, when you develop this again and again, as I said earlier on, the mind may be very dry. Maybe dry in the sense that you cannot learn how to deal with people. You cannot learn how to deal with a lot of things because lacking of the samatha development, lacking of certain qualities of the mind. For example, metta or compassion, mudita, appreciative joy. You don't have that quality. So it makes life a bit more rough edges, a lot of rough edges. You still can live, that people may not like you so much. People may have a hard time dealing with you. So you may have those things. So in a way, both of them, they have their benefit. Again here, if you're going to talk about whether samatha is going to be needed in vipassana and so on, actually both of them are interrelated. But this jhana thing and non-jhana thing, whether you should have jhana and not jhana, it's going to be a long talk. But anyway, I did talk about it before. Now, some of these talks here, there are, in the last talk in the KKB there, in the Kuala Kubu Baru, I talk about wrong views, I talk about jhana, I talk about, let me see, I forgot, samatha versus vipassana, and nimitta. What else? So quite a number of things on samatha actually. On samatha thing. But you have to go through all the talks. There are almost like 50 over talks over there. So a lot of things. It's not easy to find those things. But anyway, I did talk about it. So it's going to be long. What is the second question?
How long do you think that a yogi can see progress?
How long does a yogi is going to see progress? How long you are here? How long are you here doing? Long retreat. You see, how much do you think you have improved? Some people have more. Some people already have improved a lot in the past, and still improving. Some people are still struggling, and there will always be like that in the yogis. So when you say how long, it cannot be able to give you a satisfactory answer. Each and every one of us are different. How different is different? There will be 4 types of yogis meditating. 4 kinds of yogi in terms of progress. This is not what I said. This is actually what the Buddha said. 4 types of yogi. The first type of yogi is called slow and painful. Slow and painful type of yogis. What do I mean by slow and painful? Slow and painful type of yogis here. Slow means the hindrances, the 5 hindrances of the greed, hatred, and all the sloth and torpor, very strong. So painful. Painful ones is the 5 hindrances are very strong. Very strong. Every time you come in, it's going to have a difficult retreat. Very difficult meditation. So because of this one. Slow here means the wholesome mental factors, especially the wisdom factor, the penetrative factor. The wisdom factor needs to be supported by wisdom, concentration, effort, and so on. To be able to support it. Therefore, in a way, all the wholesome mental factor. So, precisely the one is the wisdom factor. Now here, slow because the yogi cannot go further, because whenever pay attention to an object, let's say, you look at the object, clear. Every time not clear. Rising, falling, he disappear. Sitting, touching, disappear. Lifting, pushing, then he goes into looking at other things. Every time in the retreat goes into like that. The mind is not strong. The wholesome mental factor is not strong to able to know what is really going on. At the same time, the 5 hindrances are strong. So when you have these two combinations, the yogi's development is going to take you a long period of time. A long period of time. Now the second part is that the second part here is easy but slow. Easy. Easy here means a yogi's 5 hindrances is not very strong. But the wholesome mind also weak. Therefore, when a yogi means that, when you go meditate, you ask him, you got thinking much or not? Not much thinking. Sleepiness much or not? Not much sleepiness. You got so much of other things? Not so much thinking. But can you notice your object or not? Also blur Bhante. Nothing, see nothing. Just repeat, rising, falling, gone already. But sleepiness or not? No sleepiness. Thinking or not? Not thinking. This type of yogi will happen in the practice. Therefore, they have a easy practice. They don't have so much problem with dealing with thinking and so on, but their meditation is not so clear. So you have another type of yogi. So this type of yogi, in a way, also will take time to develop. Right? It takes time to develop. Now the third type of yogi. The third type of yogi is that hindrances is strong. That means that he has a painful practice, difficult practice. On the contrary, the wholesome mind is also strong. The wholesome mind is also strong. That is to say, he has to deal with a lot of his thinking, sloth and torpor, greed, and so on. But at a window period of time, let's say, at a window period of time, when the mind is not affected by these hindrances, he pays attention to the rising, falling, sitting, touching, and all that. He sees it very clearly. He can able to know this thing happened, that thing happened this way and that way. But then when it's affected by it again, all this clarity become gone. So he can able to develop. He can still able to notice what is really gone. That means that there's some development is there for the yogi. Yeah? So in a way, it is more faster. But again, it all depends on how much he's dealing with he has the capacity to develop, but the hindrances is going to, like a baggage, it's going to pull you down. So he has to going to deal with a lot of these hindrance mind. So, the fourth yogi will be the best. The 5 hindrances are very weak, and then the wholesome mental states are very strong. Strong in the sense that they don't need to deal with all this thinking, sleepiness too much. Once they clear, the mind is really able to notice things very fast, very sharp, very decisive. So the progress here will come in more, faster, in a way, and also depending on, of course, he has to put the time into practice and so on. So generally, these are the 4 types of between your wholesomeness and your unwholesomeness, depending on how strong they are. So the next question, where are you now? Which one do you think you are? Huh? Hey, at the back there, where do you think you are? First one, second one, third one, or fourth one? Huh? Huh? All the yogis here, you've been practicing 2 weeks, you're going to have 1 more month to go, some of you. So where do you think you are? Huh? You think your hindrance is very strong? Or you think your wholesome mind very strong? Huh? So it all depends. But all these things, as I said in the past, they are all anicca. Luckily, they are all anicca. If not, you get stuck in one place. Never mind if you're stuck with the fastest one, not so bad, but all these things changes. All these things, they change. They change in what way? They change in all depends on the goodness that you have done in the past or the wholesomeness that you have done in your past. There's one area that your karma. The other part here is your practice itself. During in your practice, how much effort you're going to be willing to put it into your practice. Because if you put in the effort into the practice, your strength of your wholesome mind, it becomes stronger and stronger. It becomes stronger and stronger, clearer and clearer. It can able to develop. That time you feel that your walking, your sitting, like almost more walking, more sittings, and become much more clearer, much more sharper and much more penetrative, and you know what is going on. Then you compare to your once upon a time when you start the retreat, you struggle so much. That also cannot meditate, sit also cannot sit, walk also cannot walk. That time you struggle. Over the years, you build up. Then it becomes better and better and better. Then it becomes better. You find that the hindrances less, clarity of the mind more. You see that the progress also becomes much more faster. So all these things, they are changes. So it's impossible for us to able to tell how fast a yogi should develop. But for a new yogi, if you totally have zero idea about meditation, you try here, at least come for 10 days. At least come for 10 days. The day I told you already, don't come for 2 or 3 days. What are you going to get? You're going to get sleepiness only, nothing else, nothing much. So you got to come at least 10 days. First 7 days is to clear. Maybe the 6th or 7th or 8th day, then some progress will come in. Then you go back with some confidence that you know that you can able to actually do. Then only in the next retreat you will know how to come back again. But for a more seasoned yogi, then that time is whenever you have the time, and make sure that you go back. Those of you who go back, you're going to start planning already. Start planning for the next retreat already. If you don't plan for the next retreat, everybody will start to give you some plan. Your boss will give you some plan. Your family member will give you a plan because they also want to go kai with you, You are not there, they feel very bad. I want to go retreat. You want to go tour, how? Like that. Then it's there, you don't give us face. Every time you go retreat, every time you know your Dharma better. We are not so important. See, they blackmail you, Emotionally blackmail you, you got to corner you, and then you cannot do anything. So you got to start planning first. So you got to plan for your retreats in the future. Then that time, the more retreats that you do, the more better you become. All right?
Bhante, so what is the recommended length of retreat that a yogi should undergo?
The longer, the better. As long as you're still alive, basi, you meditate till you die. I mean, this is theoretically good, but whether practically are you able to do that? As I said yesterday, you want a more peaceful life, better life, be a monk, be a nun. Everybody support you. You can meditate, you can forget about the work. Then you can able to do whatever you want. I become a monk because I want the time. Not because I got problems in life, I'm so happy with my life. But the time. You don't have time. You don't have time. You are in the work and so on. We monks have the time. We nuns have the time. We have the time to choose what we want to do. And we put the effort into it. That's why when you go to Burma, people stay there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, just every day walk, sit, hour after hour. You think you just 2 weeks there, long retreat? You don't really go and say Panditarama, they stay there for years. You go to Chambe, people stay there for years. They stay there for years to do retreat. So it's hard to say how long a yogi should do. So whenever you can in the future, as best as possible, do a bit longer retreat, you'll see the result for your development. So okay, for now, my voice is going to go right now. So okay, I think we finish for here. Huh?
Okay, let us all say sadhu to Bhante once more, 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.